Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Just real quick before we jump into the madness, this study session is brought to you by CertFuel. They've got this awesome, full Series 6 course with adaptive quizzes, smart flashcards, and unlimited practice exams that are weighted exactly like the real test. Seriously, check them out at certfuel.com. All right, let's get into it. Today we're tackling one of the notoriously tricky areas on the Series 6 exam, FINRA's communication rules for seminars and public appearances. FINRA has these really specific, kind of bizarre lines in the sand when it comes to what you say versus what you hand out.
So let's set the scene with our favorite character, Rita the Rep. Imagine Rita is hosting this big retirement planning seminar. She gets up on stage, grabs the mic, and just to warm up the crowd, she fires off a completely unscripted, absolutely terrible dad joke. Now, FINRA is always watching, right? So here is the big question. Did Rita just break a FINRA rule by not getting that bad joke pre-approved?
Well, the answer is only if she read that joke word for word from a piece of paper in front of 26 people. Look, I know it sounds totally absurd, but it brilliantly highlights how FINRA classifies communication. They care so deeply about the difference between you just speaking off the cuff versus you reading from a prepared script. It literally changes your entire regulatory burden.
Let's actually look at this side by side to see why. When Rita is speaking unscripted, maybe she's just using a loose outline, doing a live presentation, or answering Q&As. FINRA calls that a public appearance. So what does that mean for her boss, Sam, the supervisor? It means Sam has to supervise her, sure, but he does not need to pre-approve her spoken words. But the second Rita reads from a prepared text or hands out written materials to that audience, boom, it instantly transforms into a retail communication. And retail communications absolutely require Sam to officially pre-approve them before the event even happens. So one seminar, two completely different sets of compliance rules.
Now, we need to talk about a massive threshold. Seriously, burn this number into your brain. 25. 25 is the magic threshold of retail investors that instantly turns your written handout into a retail communication. If Rita hands out her glossy brochures to 26 retail investors, it's officially a retail communication, which means pre-approval is mandatory.
And guys, this right here is our first major exam trap. The test absolutely loves to bait you with this exact scenario. They're going to describe this completely unscripted seminar. Rita is up there just winging it, totally off the cuff. But then she passes out a slide deck to her 30 attendees. The exam will ask you, hey, because the seminar was unscripted, do those slides need pre-approval? Yes, the spoken words might escape pre-approval, but the written materials do not. Sam, the supervisor, still has to pre-approve those written slides before Rita can hand them out.
Okay, hold up. I want you to literally pause the explainer right now. Engage that problem-solving brain of yours. Let's say Cora, the customer, is sitting right there in the front row. Cora takes a copy of Rita's beautifully printed mutual fund slide deck. And remember, there are 30 people in this room. Does Sam, the supervisor, need to pre-approve this deck? Lock in your answer.
All right, if you said yes, you totally nailed it. It's a retail communication because it's a written handout going to more than 25 retail investors. But wait, there's a catch. Not only does Sam have to pre-approve it, but FINRA's Advertising Regulation Department, yeah, they want a copy too.
Which brings us to our next big number for you to memorize, 10. If those written seminar materials Rita is passing out promote a specific mutual fund, a variable product, or if they talk about rankings or volatility ratings, they have to be filed with FINRA within 10 business days of first use. So, Sam signs off, Rita hands them out, and that 10-day countdown clock starts ticking for the firm to send them over to FINRA.
But let's clarify what actually triggers that filing. If Rita's slide deck explicitly says, hey, invest in the XYZ Growth Fund, that's a specific fund slide deck, and that requires the 10-day FINRA filing. But what if Rita just has this generic slide deck all about the magic of compounding interest and how mutual funds work broadly, with absolutely no specific funds named? Well, in that case, no FINRA filing is required. But remember, and this is super crucial, Sam still has to pre-approve both of them because they are written handouts going to more than 25 people. So here's a thought for you. What if Rita doesn't use any handouts at all? No script, no brochures, just Rita, a microphone, and a purely unscripted public appearance. Does Sam the supervisor finally get to kick his feet up and take a nap because there's no pre-approval needed?
Not a chance. Do not fall for this. Here is your second major exam trap. The test is going to try to trick you into thinking that no pre-approval equals no rules. That's totally wrong. Firms must maintain written supervisory procedures for public appearances, even when principal pre-approval isn't required. Sam can literally never sleep on the job.
So what exactly is Sam doing if he's not pre-approving scripts all day? Well, he's enforcing the firm's mandatory procedures. This means he's providing education and training to Rita on FINRA's content standards, he's maintaining documentation to prove that training actually happened, and he's conducting surveillance and follow-up to make sure Rita isn't just going rogue up on stage. So, supervision is mandatory. Pre-approval is not.
Okay, let's shift the narrative a bit. Rita is doing her unscripted Q&A. Cora, the customer, raises her hand and asks what she should do with her extra cash. Rita, feeling the energy of the room, says to Cora live on the mic, "Oh, you should definitely buy the XYZ fund right now." Boom! Rita just made a live, unscripted recommendation. And the second that happens, Rita immediately triggers a whole new set of rules. To make a recommendation during a public appearance, whether that's a seminar, a TV interview, or some radio spot, Rita has to mentally check off 3 specific boxes right there on the spot. Number 1, she must have a reasonable basis for the recommendation. Number 2, she must disclose any material financial interest in the security, like if she or her firm actually owns it. And number 3, she must disclose any conflict of interest that might reasonably influence that recommendation. Remember, the medium does not change the duty to disclose.
All right, let's bring this entire seminar scenario together so you can really see all these moving parts interacting. If it's a spoken outline, that's a public appearance, supervision only. If it's a printed brochure handed to 30 people naming specific funds, that's a retail communication. It needs Sam's pre-approval and a 10-day FINRA filing. And that live Q&A where Rita tells Cora to buy a specific fund, that's a live recommendation. Rita better be ready to disclose her financial interests and conflicts right then and there.
Okay, take a breath. We have covered a ton of ground, and I want to make absolutely sure this sticks in your brain for exam day. It's time to reset your attention and lock in the most highly testable concepts. Let's do a rapid-fire recap. Rule number 1. The magic number is greater than 25 retail investors. If you distribute written materials to 26 or more retail investors, you have officially created a retail communication, and your supervisor absolutely must pre-approve it.
Rule number 2. You've got to know the difference between what is spoken and what is read. Unscripted speaking is a public appearance. Supervision is required, but pre-approval is not. Scripted speaking or written handouts, those are retail communications. Principal pre-approval is strictly required.
Rule number 3, the 10-day filing rule. If those retail communications promote a specific mutual fund or a variable product, they have to be filed with FINRA's Advertising Regulation Department within 10 business days of first use.
And finally, rule number 4. If you make a recommendation during a live, unscripted public appearance, you must have a reasonable basis and you must verbally disclose any material financial interests and conflicts of interest right there on the spot.
I'm going to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to test everything we just covered. Let's say Rita does an unscripted TV interview where she recommends a stock her firm owns. Does Sam need to pre-approve her appearance? And what must Rita say live on air? Think about it for a second. It's unscripted, so no pre-approval needed, just supervision. But because she made a recommendation, she must disclose that her firm owns the stock right there on live TV. Apply these concepts, watch out for those sneaky exam traps, and you're going to crush this section. Happy studying.